We are almost ready to go here. Okay, I could wait to mute here. Marcus, sound check. Sound check.
Checkmate King 2. This is White Rick over.
We got you, White Rick. We got you. Combat will be starting in just a second, folks. In joke there. I'm just waiting to mute the other screen, Billy, so I don't get talk over myself here. And I must have to close the internet.
Turn off the political theater.
So you hear that?
I can hear something.
So, okay, we are ready to go. 3, 2, 1, and welcome into Drone Nation for August 21st, 2023. The title of tonight's show is a Summer of Billy Kyle, and our special guest, of course, is Billy Kyle. Now, just a couple program notes. I did, folks, I know you all follow Billy on YouTube. You all watch his great drone videos, but I put a link in here in the description of his on X, formerly known as Twitter. Maybe you don't follow Billy on Twitter, so you can see more of his adventures over. So please sub him up on Twitter there or X.
Yeah, Twitter's a great spot. It's turned into an awesome place to just dump some content. A
lot of changes over there in the last year, and not everybody likes them, but we'll see how it all plays out in the end. But anyhow, I want to get this thing real quick.
Threads on PC today, right?
Threads is great too.
Well, they're supposed to release it for computer. It's just
really?
Yeah. I saw that. Yeah. So anyhow, I want to get this in before we get started. Thoughts and prayers to all these people in Southern California who've been suffering from flooding and other bad weather due to Hurricane Hillary, which is, the first time ever hurricanes hit Southern Cal. So I really feel bad for all the people who are suffering out there. And we're going to get Marcus's Hillary update here in a few minutes. And a couple special programming news before we get going. Next week's show will feature Greg from Pilot Institute. I know Billy knows Greg or whatever. He will discuss upcoming remote ID rules and what remote ID modules are available to get your older drones in compliance with all the new rules and how to re-register your drones that already have remote ID compliant. And Billy, I watched Potato Jet's video recently with Greg, and boy, his studio and everything in Prescott and the surrounding area is beautiful, isn't it?
Yeah, they have a great spot out there. It's funny, it's like you don't really expect much when you get to Prescott, but then you kind of come up over the valley and you get in, and it's there's a little town there, so it's pretty cool. And yeah, they say it's pronounced Prescott. That's how they say it out there.
Oh, okay, the locals, yeah.
If you say Prescott, everybody knows you're from out of town.
Yeah, I drove through Prescott, Arizona, or however you said it, many moons ago when I was a younger person, but I didn't stop or anything, except maybe to get gas or something.
Yeah.
So yeah, cool. And I also spoke with Michael Wright today while he was driving home from Mindfield, and he said it was a wonderful meetup, and he got to meet a lot of new people, including John Cuppi. And both Michael and John will be on an upcoming show where they will give a recap of last weekend's events at Mindfield. I believe it'll be the Monday after Labor Day. Billy, you didn't get to attend Mindfield this year, did you?
Look at the camera.
I was going to, but it's just been a crazy couple of
Ron,
days. It would have been tough to get down there.
We got photobombed here.
I'm just talking away.
He came on board.
He did tell me he was in Arkansas visiting his aunt, but I didn't know his aunt lived near DeMarco.
I said I was on my way home, which I am.
Billy didn't even know us. I think you know us.
Jeez, we got so many faces here now.
He just ringing my doorbell. I'm like, who's ringing the doorbell at 7 o'clock at night? Oh, it's Mike. Hey, Mike, come on in.
Mike is all over the place.
Hey, not only that, but you guys didn't even notice what's over here.
You got it?
Mike, guess what? Mike couldn't resist. He ordered the Air 3 while he was on the road.
I ordered it and picked it up at Little Rock after I left home.
Damn, that's a really new purchase.
So we're going to hear about, by the time Mike gets in the show, we'll have a lot of flights under his belt. So we're going to hear about that too in a couple of weeks. But Billy, you didn't get a chance to go to Mindfield this year, huh?
No, I didn't make it. I keep saying I'm going to make it every single year, and just stuff comes up, and I'm not able to get down there for it.
I say the same thing too. Yeah. But it's kind of more of an FPV event, I believe.
Yeah. I would bust out the FPV drone, but I'd probably come back with nothing. I'd probably come back with some busted drones.
And I'm sure a few people did. Hey, Mike, I got a quick question for you.
Sure.
What is John Cuppi really like in person?
He's a great guy. I tell you a little story. You got time for a 2-minute story?
2 minutes.
I saw him at the hotel first time Friday night. He's the first one I met. I was walking back home, back to the hotel, and I saw him in the hallway there. I reached up and shook his hand, and he said, "Hi, Mike," and shook his hand, and I gave him a great big old hug. The next day, I met Crystal. He said, "Oh," and she told me his wife, and she said, "Oh, you're the one that hugged him." He evidently was so, he went back and said, "Mike hugged me." He said, "I'm from New Jersey. We don't hug people."
We do it.
After that, every time I left Saturday evening, I gave him a hug. And again today when I went to leave, or yesterday, I said, "I'm not going to hug you this time, John." He said, "I want a hug."
I hope that was captured on videotape, but
anyway, we had a great time.
Yeah.
I met Zach T and Dustin, and I met them before.
You met a lot of new people. Yeah. I talked to Chris Hope a bit today too. He was there also.
Eric with E-Drone.
Right.
Well, we don't want to go too far on a tangent.
Right.
We'll have the Mindfield
We'll
show.
talk about that in a couple weeks.
Yes. Save all the good stuff up, the juicy stuff up.
You got it.
So,
okay.
But thanks for that little recap, Mike. Okay,
I'm just here to listen.
Get to the agenda here. We always have a DroneNation deal of the day, but we don't have the best. It's not kind of the best one today. Lots of times we save people a lot of money, but all I got today is the DJI Mini 3 Pro with the DJI RC 1 controller. It's normally $909, but today you can get it on Amazon for only $818. I forgot to put the DroneNation affiliate link in, but just go to Amazon and type in. So you save, you save $90 on it, and that's still a pretty good package.
Mark has got to be working overtime. Damn.
Yeah.
So let's see the Mini 3 Pro. Yeah, even the it looks like there's a couple packages here that are, with some extras, $1,089 down to $979.
Yeah. So there's some deals out there now if you're looking for a Mini 3 Pro. Of course, with the Mini 4 rumors out there, of course, you always start to see the price drops before those big rumors. And another quick a deal of the day part 2. I don't know the details, but Maddie's Drone World, he's got a PGY Tech backpack drone bag on for sale or whatever. So I don't know the details about it, but if you're interested in one, hit Maddie up. I believe he's in the chat already tonight. So hit Maddie up if you're interested. I have a PGY Tech bag, not the one he does. I have the smaller one. I love the thing. So yeah, Marcus has 1 million bags behind him.
Yeah, DJI bag. Nothing wrong with that.
Ron, I used your link.
Oh yeah. Well, we have a continuing DroneNation deal today on the Anker 100-watt charger. It's available on Amazon. The link is in last week's show notes. $26.50 for a 100-watt charger, and compare it to the DJI official one, which is like $95.
Don't settle for anything less.
Yeah, well, so that charger is good that DJI has, but I hate that you have like the cord and then the brick. You know what I mean? Like I would prefer how Anker does it, where you just plug it right into the wall. Like that's just so much easier in my opinion.
And the Anker one comes with instead of like a 12-inch cable, the Anker one comes with like a 3-foot cable. So you're not like, you got some space to put it out in your desk.
You're talking about the USB cable.
Yeah. What Billy's talking about the cable into the wall, but I'm talking about the USB cable. It's extra long on the Anker one, and it's not like a cheap cable. Like it powers anything up, and what it really is, Billy, it's a MacBook charger. So of course, you can charge your MacBook up faster with it.
Yeah. So, but mine says DJI.
I can get a Sharpie and make mine DJI too.
So I have yet to purchase this yet, but Satechi has a 6-port USB-C charger, and it's 200 watts. So this thing puts out a serious amount of power.
200 watts.
But there's multiple ports, Billy. When they give the 200 watts for this multiple port, doesn't that mean all the ports combined? Usually there's not one single port that outputs whatever it says in the advertisement.
I watched a video on it, and I've heard that it's able to understand what each device needs in terms of power, and then it will deliver the power accordingly. So,
nice.
Yeah, this is probably going to be a purchase for me. It looks like you need a special sort of power cable, but I'd assume you would, considering it's a it's 200 watts.
How much is it, Billy? How much is it?
It's $150,
yeah,
and Satechi makes some great stuff. Like their stuff is super high quality. I would almost say that Satechi is like a touch nicer than Anker, honestly.
Wow. What do you use to power up your Air 3?
I actually have an Anker. I have something that's similar to what I just linked, but it's made by Anker. And sometimes I'll even use my MacBook one, the 140 watt one that came with the MacBook. I carry that around. So, but really, I'm looking to get one of these chargers to leave inside of my backpack just to charge literally anything that I need. Like you'll be able to plug this in the wall, charge 6 devices at once, and it'll output a ton of power.
So Billy, I can imagine with you traveling, that would be just incredibly handy. Seriously, just plug it in and plug everything in.
And you know, when you get that and it works well, make a video about it.
My current setup is to plug my MacBook in and then use the 3 USB-C ports off the MacBook to charge stuff overnight. Wow. So I have my MacBook charging, and then I have my Apple Watch charging and my phone charging, and usually a drone battery, like battery hub charging off of the other, and I just let it sit overnight, and that's how I've been charging my stuff.
Wow. Yeah, this will be a big upgrade if this works as well as Office Sound.
Would be nice.
Yeah. Hey, listen, Bill, I don't see him in the chat now, but before you got here, Sam Laporte was in the chat. So if you're still there, I want to say this show tonight is sponsored by the Sam Laporte Real Estate Group. If you need a nice house at the shore, go to samlaporte.com and tell them Ron and Billy sent you.
Yeah, I told him. I said I sent him the link, and I said you got to jump in. I would plug Laporte at the shore. So if you need a nice shore home,
we did a big time.
If you need a nice shore home, contact Sam Laporte.
Yeah, there you go. Okay, Sam, you owe us a free hot dog on the boardwalk.
Welcome to Real Estate Nation.
Yes.
Hey, that's another offshoot right there.
Sam only sells the finest properties, so we're not kidding on that. He's got some nice places for sale.
He does.
Anyhow, we're going to get into drone next. This is the last non-drone topic here. The GoPro Hero 12. We've been hearing about this for a while now. But the leaks and images that started appearing on X, formerly known as Twitter, over the weekend. Most of these rumors came from a German site or something that leaks all the GoPros. But the rumors have it being released on September 13th, and selling for $399. But the disappointing thing is that these rumors are true. The specs are almost the same as the Hero 11. You don't see any significant upgrade. All the one-inch sensor, 8K, 240 frames per second. None of that's coming, unfortunately, if the rumors are true or whatever. Marcus
Ron,
has
am I going to see an improvement over my Hero 9? That's what I want to know.
Yeah, I think on X I reacted to one of the leaks with a yawning emoji. Because I don't know. So for me, action cameras are just like smartphones. It's so stagnant. It's like you just get the same stuff kind of repackaged every single year. I have the Action 4 and I have not made a video on it yet. Like I've been sitting on it and I haven't done one yet. I actually sat down to film it tonight, which kind of rejogged my brain. And the biggest thing I like about the action cameras from DJI is that they're so reliable. So I've been doing a lot of filming inside of my car of it doing the full self-driving and then uploading like what the car does, trying to drive by itself. And the GoPro would continue to overheat on me. I would try to shoot 4K, 60 frames per second. I'd let it sit there. I would do some live narration usually. So I'll have a microphone in there. So I turn my air off and usually it's pretty hot, but I don't want to have the wind noise from the air conditioning blowing in the mic. So it would overheat, which was such a pain. But then you go and you look at the same scenario in the Action 4, I can film for like 2 hours, 4K 60 rock steady plus, and it doesn't overheat in my car. In fact, when I was out in Utah on these electric dirt bikes, I had the Action sitting on my chest. It filmed 4K 60 in 4x3 rock steady plus for over 2 hours and didn't overheat.
Wow.
I don't know. That's the reliability there is the biggest thing, because whenever I'm using a GoPro, I don't want to have to continue to check, is it still filming? Is it still working? I just want to mount it somewhere, press record, and just let it go. So, the reliability from DJI's action cameras is huge.
Yeah, that's the continuing story, Billy. But but these things are so hit or miss. Like, for instance, I had the Hero 10, right? And I went to the air show last week, and it was an 85-degree day. It was pretty humid. I shot 4K 60. I shot 30 clips that day. I saw no freezing, no locking up at all. So I mean, the user experience just varies greatly from user to user.
I know. I mean, it wasn't even that hot in my car, and it would just like overheat, and I'd be only driving for like 15 minutes, and I'd hear it beep in my ear, and I'm like, I got to stop what I'm doing, wait for it to cool down, blast the AC, and then start going again. But then the Action 4, I can use it in a desert where it's over 100 degrees, and it'll film maxed out. I mean, Rocksteady plus, the highest resolution, almost the highest frame rate, and it just works like a champ.
Yeah, and now they have a bigger sensor now. Than the Hero 12 will be supposedly, according to leaks. So even they're even at the disadvantage on sensor size now. Hey, Billy, Eddie's kind of a trolling you in the chats here.
This guy always comes at me. The whole Jeep Tesla thing, we're always going back and forth. But it's funny because I see so many Jeeps on the side of the road. I send him pictures. I say, "Look, this could be your Jeep on the side of the road."
And awesome. We're later on a story here. We're going to talk about your tire situation in Tesla. we're gonna make the people wait for that though. We're not going to.
Let me add with regard to these action cameras though. I've got to get this in, and I was buying a new GoPro every year, every time upgrading. Got to the 10, and I just got tired of those freeze up problems. And in fact, I was talking to Ron about this earlier. I called GoPro's customer service, and they said, well, you can't have an expectation that it would run more than 2 minutes without overheating.
Really?
and I said, well, you need to put that in your ads. And in reality, I just got a bad customer service person, right? I mean,
yeah.
Really. However,
2 minutes, so 2 minutes, 2 hours, maybe.
That's what she said, 2 minutes. But so when I switched to the Action 2, it just solved all my problems. They were over. That's all.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I almost think that I was a little bit worried with the Action 4. I was like, man, if the Hero 12 is coming out and it's promising what it's going to do, it's going to make the Action 4 look horrible, right? But now that I see that it's an incremental upgrade, I almost wonder if DJI had actionable intel and was like, hey, this new version of the Hero is not going to be that good. So let's just sit on our hands. Let's put out something very similar. Let's upgrade this camera in a couple of ways, almost through software, really, because it's still a very similar camera. And maybe they have something ready to come maybe next year that's going to, compete with the Hero 13, because I can't see how DJI would continue to introduce something that's so similar, just locked by software, though. I mean, I could see them going big with a 1-inch sensor, but if GoPro is going to kind of do something similar to them and release an iterative upgrade, maybe they're like, let's try to get in some more sales with the Hero 4,
Yeah, and the 1-inch sensor thing, Insta360 has already did the 1-inch sensor more than a year ago, and they never really got a lot of traction with that. Nobody's really, flying over the Insta360's 1-inch sensor action camera.
Yeah, I think I like Insta360 stuff. I use their 360 cameras for, whenever I need to shoot 360 video. But the one issue with the modular camera was the modularity. Like, it was annoying how you had all the different pieces that fit together. And I like DJI's method of it, where it was magnetic and it just snapped and it was rock solid, easy to go. I almost wish they'd go back to that. But yeah, I enjoy the reliability of the Action 4. That's probably my biggest thing I like about it.
Yeah. I think I'm going to be switching over to the Action 4 next go around. Hey, tell Sam we already got him a new sub, Ray Kelly.
I saw that.
That Action 2, for me, that magnetic connection thing is so convenient. It just takes a couple of minutes to get set up. And then with the DJI wireless mic, boom, you're rolling, and it's that fast.
Yeah, I mean, it's nice because the new Action cameras still have that magnetic functionality. It's not as snappy because the Action 2 is so small, but you still have the magnetic teeth that fit right in. And I really enjoy that connection rather than having, the little loops that come off the GoPro. It just feels so much more solid.
Yeah, the fingers on the GoPro. And you had to use the media mod. I always had to put the media mod on this guy so I could hook up my flipping microphone, etc. And now it's just boom, boom with the DJI system. It's
Billy, I've missed my shot before trying to get the fingers on the mount or whatever. The shot's over by the time I get the GoPro attached to the pole.
Yeah. Wait, what is this? What is that for?
When you're trying to get a Hero, any GoPro, you're trying to get it on its pole, whatever. By the time you get it screwed on or wherever, the shot's gone.
Yep. Yeah. If you just buy a couple of those little mounts, like with the teeth, and you put them on like your on your selfie stick, and you put them on your whatever, it's just a matter of grabbing the camera, slapping it on, and going. And you definitely want to make sure it's in there, because sometimes you can slap it on, you think it's in there, but you give it a little push down, and it really locks into place.
Right.
So
yeah.
Hey, so Trucker Steve is asking
a question for Marcus.
Yeah, so Freewell has them, and if you look on Amazon, Freewell,
they're already available for sale.
Right.
Cool. And a lot of times Amazon, they'll ship you the filters for free, where if you order from Freewell, they'll charge you shipping. So
Dillon Road in Meridian, about a mile to your north, and it gets 4.5 stars on Yelp. Do you want that?
Alexa.
The only time Siri ever pays attention to you is when you're on a drone show.
She was talking about Uncle Bob's Pizza. I don't know. Anyway.
Truck Uncle Bob Pizza. So anyhow, let's get on to story number 3. I want Billy to tell us a little bit about his summer travels. He's been all over the country. I know you could probably talk for a couple hours on his travels. Maybe you can give a condensed version. I want him to also talk about some of the drones he has been flying, on these summer adventures. I don't even question for Kai ties it to some Alaska at the same time. And what is Billy's go-to drone for summer flying adventures and professional work both? Because now we have the DJI R3 available, the Mavic 3 Pro, the Inspire 3, or maybe some other drones. So I'm going to let Billy start at any point of any of what I've asked, maybe with his summer travel. Well, what's some of the places you've been to, and what are some of the highlights?
So geez, I'm going here, and I'm going through my Lightroom catalog to kind of see all the spots, and really it's been all over. Went down to Florida. First it was CES, then down to Florida for the rocket launch. Then back to Florida for like a summer, just like get the hell out of Philly and get a little bit of warmth.
And the drone and Ray Kelly's drone meetup.
Yes, yep, but before that was Houston for UVSI. Then I went up to really far north in Canada for a video project up in like Newfoundland, Labrador. Then, there was a little bit of a lull there. Then went out to Vegas for NAB, shot up to Salt Lake City in Utah. Then, obviously bouncing around Philly and the shore area. Then went over to Pittsburgh for the Avium Summit or Arium Summit. From there, took some trips up to like the Newport area. Then went and did Nova Scotia. That was when the Air 3 launched, went up there just to kind of grab some shots.
Ken and Lon were with you?
No, so that was not Ken and Lon.
That was a different trip. Okay.
Yeah, Ken and Lon came up. We went to Newport.
Okay.
That was cool. Just kind of did like a little tour up that way. Newport. And we kept dodging TFRs because Biden was in town and he was flying all over the East Coast. And as we were going further north, he was flying and following us. So that was pretty funny. And then most recently I was down in Charleston working on a video project with one of my clients because he's looking to get his Charleston or his South Carolina real estate license, and he wants to jump down there and do some business. So, really now, if I can bring the Inspire 3, it's coming with me. Like that's the drone that I've been shooting a lot on. So if I'm driving somewhere, usually it'll come with me because it'll just go into the trunk. But the Air 3 has been the go-to for me, primarily because it's small. I really don't have a reason that I'm using that drone over the Mavic 3 Pro. I just think that they're so similar in a lot of different regards. I think that I'm just using the Air 3 now because it's newer. Like it's newer than the Mavic 3 Pro. And I'm hard pressed to find a difference between the Mavic 3 Pro and the Air 3. You obviously have the bigger sensor, but the video still looks great. Like it's not like
Billy, quick question to interrupt here. Is a 3X tele on the Air 3 as good as a 3X tele on the Mavic 3 Pro?
Yeah, it's the same sensor. It's basically the same exact camera in both drones. You're just getting that extra 7x zoom, the 166 millimeters in the Mavic 3 Pro.
The video for the 3X is just as good in your eyes.
Yeah, no, it's just as good. And what I like is that you have a similar color science between both of the cameras because with the Mavic 3 Pro, you've got the Hasselblad 4/3 sensor, and then you have the 3X camera, but the sensor size is the same, and they're basically the same camera on the Air 3. So I've noticed that you have to do some slight color adjustments, but they're very similar between both of them, which makes my life easier.
Exactly, in the editing room. I really liked some of the images you took in southern Utah, not Salt Lake City, but you got down to what I consider one of the most beautiful places in the country, the southern part of Utah. The parks.
I totally agree. Seeing the potash ponds, the potash ponds, whatever you call them, they are just insane.
That was amazing. I love that video.
You just come around the corner and you're like, whoa! So they actually dye the water blue, and it's something that has to do with extracting the salt. It actually will. I don't know what it does. I'm not even going to try to attempt to say what it does, but they do dye the water blue. So not only is it, super blue because it's surrounded by just nothing but orange rocks and desert, but they actually dye the water too. So it's super, super blue.
Wow. And of course you were at the salt flats, and that was amazing footage.
Yeah. Salt flats is awesome. I knew as soon as I got out there, I had to do a range test. Like I was just like, this is the best spot to do the range test from a lot of different standpoints. Like it's just like you have the visual observers, you have the ability to follow with the car, you have the ability to be in an area where there's no air traffic whatsoever, no people whatsoever. And I could keep the drone low. I mean, I don't think I was over 150 feet for the entire flight, which was awesome. I think if I had to do it again, I'd probably put the drone in the car, have the spotter drive out like 3 miles, and then start from there. Not fly back, but because, like we know that this drone can fly 3 miles in the desert. Like that's cake, right? So let's start it from there, send the drone up, and then see how far you can push it. Because really at this point where we're at, the battery life is the biggest constraint.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. So the point of it is you were constrained by the battery, not the connection.
Exactly. Yeah. So like basically the reason that I lost connection is because as I was pushing the drone at 150 feet, it started to automatically land. And as the drone started to land, I lost connection because, the higher you go, the better your connection will be. So if I was at that distance and I could say bump up to 200 or 250 feet as I'm flying out, I would have been able to probably go another mile or two, but I just had to land.
Yeah.
So in other words, if we were back on that boardwalk in Ocean City, the famous Mavic 3.
I don't know what you're talking about, Ron.
You would have made the Lucy with the Air 3, right?
Ron.
Ron, I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, it was that other guy.
I saw the picture. The thumbnail was probably from that same day.
Yeah, but not that moment. Yeah, not that moment.
No, that Salt Lake City test is legend, though. That's going to be one of those videos that goes down in the annals of drone history, man.
Now, I mean, it's going to be something I want to try to do every single time because it's like doing the flight at the parking garage. It's just like something that I like to do every time. Good little, familiar area. And now I want to do that. And like, I want to also do the Inspire 3 out there and do a range that way. But the biggest issue with that is like the flight time is horrible. Like I'm probably only going to get like 4 or 5 miles when I'm pushing in sport mode before I would need to land it and change batteries. So that would be a time where I'd probably push it out, like 5 miles and have the person take off from there. And also I was thinking about how I could daisy chain with that. Like whoever's inside of the car, have them hold the remote controller, like the second remote controller. And I'd be holding another remote controller because you've got the dual connection there and see, if they can like take off for me, send it up, and then I can assume control and then just start bombing out. So we'll see.
Yeah. If they put a new battery in it. Yeah. Wow. Like Marcus said, that'll go down. That's like even Dustin Dunnell's jealous of that test.
Dustin does some crazy stuff. I don't think I could ever live up to him, but I'm trying. I'm biting at his heels.
Yeah. Well, poor Dustin doesn't live in Hawaii anymore, so he can't fly off that mountain anymore.
Really? Where did he move to?
He moved to New Mexico, like between Albuquerque and the other place.
Ron, he launches off another mountain in New Mexico now. I noticed.
He does, yeah.
He's got a new mountain that he launches off.
Yeah, there's a lot of good mountains in New Mexico. Yeah. If you ever been on they call it the Tamalami Trail or whatever, he lives somewhere near there. That it's a real nice road that takes you from Albuquerque to what's the northern city where all the artists live. In New Mexico. Sorry, I haven't been there. While my geographies.
I don't know. I've only really driven through.
Okay, yeah, it's it's an interesting state to explore around. But anyhow, so I mean that was a great location. Of all the places you've been, if you were going to go back and return to one of those spots, what's the first spot you would go back to again?
Probably Moab. That was just such an awesome spot. I'd love to be able to get out there with like a Jeep or a truck and just like rip through all the trails and stuff they have there. It's so funny. Went out there, took a rental Tesla. And we took it off-roading on like the trails and stuff. And it did okay. But it's so funny because whenever a Jeep would come up, I would have to pull over, let the Jeep pass, and they would just be flying at like 30 miles an hour. And I'm putzing along at like 10 miles an hour, hoping I don't rip the undercarriage off.
Moab's the type of town where you can be driving down the main street and all these people are right in the road with these off-road vehicles. Just go right down the middle of the road at the gas stations. It's kind of a funky little town. I love that area.
Well,
let me tell you.
Yeah.
In Moab, the police don't play. They'll pull you over if you're speeding 2 miles an hour over the speed limit.
No,
they had so many signs and so many like detectors where like it's like the trailer sitting there and you pass by it and it gives you your speed. I mean, they had them dotted throughout the entire town, and every time I drove somewhere, I would see 2 people pulled over because the police were just sitting there waiting for them to fly through, and they pull them right over.
Well, you can imagine the people that kind of show up in Moab. It's a tourist town and it's off-roading. Yep. They're hauling ass all the time. And so they probably had to do that.
I was there whatever high season was, and you couldn't speed. The traffic was bumper to bumper. It was the thing is speeding. You were lucky to be moving, so I didn't have to worry about that. Yeah. So no, I mean you've had a great summer. I mean you saw a lot of great places. You got a lot of great footage.
It's been fun.
You're going to do something like maybe edit a whole collage of it all
together
as a winter project or something.
So from now on, what I'm going to do every year, and it's going to just motivate me to try to continue to travel, is do like a drone video of like all of my shots from all the different places I've been to. I did that last year. I did like a 2022 reel of all my best shots. And I also want to try to do one with like a hyperlapse compilation, because I put hyperlapses over on Instagram, but a lot of those hyperlapses have actually been captured horizontally and then cropped down vertical to go on Instagram. So there's like so much more inside of those shots that you're not able to see, and they look really cool. Like, so for example, if I do orbit around the skyline, it's like you're getting maybe like 2 or 3 big skyscrapers in the middle, but really I've got the entire skyline captured as I orbit around. So I definitely want to try to share those in a horizontal format, because on Instagram you just see the vertical.
Yeah.
So Bill, I'm glad you brought up hyperlapse.
Yeah, Marcus has a question for you. It's number 9 in the.
Oh, you've already. Am I skipping over, Ron?
No, go right to it, Marcus. Go right to it.
So I'm intrigued by the hyperlapses that you've been doing, and I want to try some of them. But in particular, the ones you do where you get the motion blur, that it's just an absolute. The cars are just in a blur. So how much am I going to have to get up to like an ND 1000 or 2000 to do that? Or
so I've been using an ND 1000, and then from there I can usually get my shutter speed to be about half a second, and that's all you need. Half a second is your sweet spot. And if you need to over or underexpose the image, that's fine, because you're going to be capturing raw photographs, and you can like pull the exposure down on the raw photographs by 2 stops if you really needed to, So half a second is the sweet spot. If you try to go to a full second exposure, first of all, you might start to get some really bad shake, because this shutter is staying open for so long and the drone is actively moving.
It's only so steady. Yeah.
So if you're going to fly at like 0.2 miles an hour, like the slowest it allows you to, 1 second will definitely work. But if you have any sort of wind, it's the hyperlapse is not going to come out looking good. So half a second is pretty much the furthest I go. And then I'll do a 2-second interval, so it captures photos every 2 seconds. But if you do the full second shutter, they don't let you do a 2-second interval. It's got to be a 3-second interval.
Okay.
I think the reasoning behind that is because it can't write the data fast enough to the SD card when it takes the photos. So it'll take a photo, and then it only has 1 second to take that next photo. So I think that they push it back to the 3-second interval. So yeah, half a second is definitely going to be your best bet.
So next question, the micro 4/3 on the Mavic 3 Pro as opposed to the Air 3, does it make that big a difference when you're doing those hyperlapses?
I would say yes, because you can only do hyperlapses at 12 megapixels on the Air 3. You can't use the full 48 megapixels, which is kind of a shame. I thought that they would have let us do that, because the Air 2 will let you do that. The Air 2 lets you use the 48 megapixels when capturing hyperlapses.
Wow. I didn't know that.
So you're saying choose the 48 megapixels and use the Air 3, the Air 3.
The Air 3 won't let you use 48.
He said use the Mavic 3 and use 20 megapixel photos.
Gotcha. Yep. I misunderstood.
I wish they let you do 48, because again, the Mavic Air 2 lets you, but they didn't bring it over, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Maybe that could be a software update at some point.
Would be nice, huh?
Well, I know what I'm going to be.
If you're listening, DJI, we got a firmware fix for you already.
Well, I think that sometimes they have that in mind. They might be like, you know what, let's keep a couple things back for a nice firmware update in 3 or 4 months.
Yeah. So part of my question 9 was, what is Billy's favorite drone that capture hyperlapses? So we're going to say the Mavic 3, any of the Mavic 3 series of drones.
Yeah, probably the Mavic 3. And it's weird because I have different drones for different types of stuff that I want to accomplish. Like Mavic 3 Pro is definitely like the best all round, because you can use the 7X, or I'm sorry, you can use the 3X or the regular camera, so you can get a nice 70mm hyperlapse. But the Mavic 3 Cine is really good because it actually gives you a 1-second interval option. None of the others will give you a 1-second interval, so it'll take one photo every second. So if you have so depending on the motion, right? Like let's say you're filming really slow traffic. Well, you can lower that interval, maybe even down to 3 seconds, because there's not a ton of motion. Like there's not going to be a lot of motion in between photos taken. But let's say you're capturing a hyperlapse of an event of people walking all around and it's really fast motion, then you can try to speed that up and capture it every second. So the Mavic 3 Cine is good in that regard, and that's the only drone that'll let you do the 1 second. And I think it's because when you write to the SSD, it's so fast that it's just like writing the images like instantly. So it lets you go 1 second at a 1 second interval. But the Mini 3 Pro is great too, because you can shoot a true 4K or full 12 megapixel, vertical hyperlapse.
9x16. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. So that's nice because, you don't have to do any cropping. It works. But sometimes the cropping saves you because the drone won't always fly directly straight. It'll kind of strafe from left to right. So you can crop in and keyframe so that it's always showing what you want. So you have a little bit of room to play from left to right. I won't be in commercial UAV, unfortunately, this year. So there's going to be no Havanas lost. Tom is like, I'm not flying with Billy if he's going to commercial UAV.
So back to hyperlapse for a second. What's your favorite, when you're using, say, the Mavic 3, the Mavic 3 or the Air 3, do you mostly use the wide angle lens or do you use one of the other lenses for some of your hyperlapses?
Wide angle usually, because when I crop down to vertical, it gives you you have to be really far away to not only use the 70mm, but then also crop down. So like you're kind of punching in there. The 70mm is such a hit or miss too, because like if the drone starts to veer off to the side, it's so tight in focal length that it's tough to keep stable sometimes. So you need to have perfect conditions. And sometimes you'll run a hyperlapse and just need to do it all over again because the drone just totally didn't fly the route correctly. So that kind of stinks when you have like a really small window to get like a sunset and the hyperlapse just messes up and you're like, okay, now,
no redo here. Yeah.
But yeah, so I would say the wide angle is what I use primarily. And the 70mm is just fun to kind of experiment with.
So another hyperlapse question. So I've messed around obviously with the waypoint hyperlapses, and I find that they never really turn out as good. You're almost always better off just either going straight forward or in a semicircle or a circle. It seems to look better. The waypoint ones, they just never turn out correctly, and it doesn't look good. So are you almost always moving forward?
I'm of the opposite mindset, because what I find is when I'm setting up a hyperlapse, and like let's say I'm trying to set up a straight hyperlapse, like I just want to fly directly straight, and let's say I'm trying to fly directly next to the boardwalk, right? Well, if I do a straight line, my straight line might be ever so slightly off, and I might start veering off to the left for the entire flight, which I could try to set it up as best I can, use the map, make sure I'm straight, really make sure that the line is there, but it still might veer off to the side. So waypoints I find to be like so much more accurate because it has an exact spot that it's flying to, and you can control that manually. So I can choose my first point and then choose my last point and then just fly straight. It'll fly a straight line along there. So the waypoints are nice, and it gives you the flexibility to change altitude too. Like none of the others will let you like fly up as you're going from spot to spot. So if I wanted to do waypoints, like I just did one recently over a concert, and I started low and then came up and around, and I did that by just setting 2 waypoints. So I put one down here, put one up here, and it made that movement by going up, rotating a little bit, and pitching the camera downwards.
My bad.
Bill, I hope that they add RC Pro compatibility. I mean, they should be able to. The RC, the new RC2 has the same antenna setup as the RC Pro. So unless there's some sort of software protocol or something like that, I don't know. I hope that they do though.
And DJI's notoriously slow on doing stuff like this. So hang in there, Bill.
And also walking their word back, because they said that they weren't going to make the Mini 3 Pro compatible with the RC Pro, and then they did. So I think if enough people ask for it, I think that they would do it.
Yeah.
Unless they have an RC, unless they have an RC Pro 2 in the works and they want to sell more of those.
Yeah, true.
Well,
Yeah,
I know how to pick my pocket. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, right.
Marcus, do you have any more hyperlapse questions?
I guess that's about it. I'm really intrigued by. I've really been enjoying what you've been doing, Bill, and I'm intrigued.
Yeah,
by
Bill, you have a nice tutorial on hyperlapses on your channel. It's not recent, back a few months, but you've
it's like that's like a good old 32-minute video or something like that. But it really does cover a good amount of what you would need to know. And if Marcus, I mean, feel free to text me whenever you have a question, and also send me some stuff you get, because I'd like to see it. I love hyperlapses because like it's automated, right? So the drone does a lot of the work for you, but also you get a cool video out of it, and you also get raw photographs out of it, so you get like everything all in one single flight. So
right, and it helps your Instagram and TikTok people.
But it does take a long time. It does take a long time. Like the workflow is to set up the waypoint, or to set up the mission, whatever you use, capture the photos. Then you've got to take all of the photos from your hyperlapse, which if you do a 750 photo hyperlapse on the Mavic 3 can be like 20 gigs of photos. Then you've got to edit all the photos. Then you've got to export all the photos, and you've got to bring the photos together, combine them into the hyperlapse, and then you've got to speed it up, stabilize. Like there's a whole back-end workflow. Luckily, it's pretty easy. So like when I edit one photo and then copy and paste throughout the rest, I go and like respond to emails, and I'm like, oh, it's finished. Let me go and export, or bring the photos into Final Cut and then stabilize. And then while it's rendering, I'll go and answer some text messages and like, oh, it's ready now. So
and in your tutorial, you have that thing where you show how you can copy and paste your adjustments from all the different photos. You have to do it one time. Yeah,
which is nice, because if you've got the same look, but the only time it's a little bit off is if you're doing a sunset, because you might change the white balance on that first photo, but the white balance is way off at the end because it's super dark out now. So then the way that I do it is I export 2 different batches of photos, one edited for the first photo and the other edited for the very last photo. I bring them into Final Cut Pro, layer them directly on top of each other, and then take the opacity of one of them and go from 0 to 100. So from there, it'll basically blend the two together, and you have something that blends from the very start where the white balance is set perfectly, and then it slowly introduces the new white balance. So that there's a really great plugin called LR Time Lapse that will do this for you, and it almost allows you to keyframe photographs and edit it within Lightroom, but I find it to be like super clunky. So I just do Final Cut Pro.
Yeah.
Right. Hey, not gonna too far off the rails here, but did you get caught in that thing where Final Cut Pro updated and it didn't work right for about a week or two?
No, I didn't. Luckily,
about a month ago, they just ruined it. Like you couldn't really do anything or whatever. Like I had to stop using it until they came out with the update. It was a lot of people made videos about it, but I had automatic updates on. So now I've got automatic updates turned off for Final Cut Pro because they really messed up for about a week or two.
I leave automatic updates turned off for any and every device possible. The only stuff that I really just like upload.
Oh.
The poor Bill froze.
Yeah, we got frozen Bill.
Well,
sorry about that.
There he's back.
Oh no, there he froze.
No, he froze again.
Oh
now
man, come on. Now some of you guys are freezing.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, we got you now. I can hear you now.
Is anybody else freezing besides Bill? Marcus? You're
good, Bill.
Am I here? You good?
You're good now. We're good now.
Yeah. So the only thing that I really frequently update immediately is the drones, just because I make videos about the new updates and stuff.
Yeah.
But like Final Cut Pro, I'd wait a little bit to update that.
Somebody has a question for Michael Wright in the chat. They're asking if you're in Rogers.
He's not listening.
They're not.
Mike Wright.
Yes, I am. In fact, I'm visiting Ward tomorrow. Tomorrow afternoon.
Yeah. Okay. 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 Let's change topics here to a little bit of a controversial subject, Billy. I know you made a video on this. You put your thoughts out in a video a couple weeks ago about this, but let's kind of recap things here. We talked about this last week on the show, I believe. What's your thoughts on Scudio exiting the consumer drone space? I know the the founder of Scudio, and you've worked a little bit with him in the past. You have more of a personal connection with them than the rest of us do.
Yeah, I mean, I like their drone. Like, I think it's great, especially for being like 4 years old, right? And you just have to wonder, like, over that period of time, they've probably been working on some new technology. I think I said I was disappointed in that video because I just think that, like, they're almost abandoning the people and their brand that they've built. I mean, they have such a strong brand presence within the drone industry, and really they've gained that presence by not doing a whole lot. Like, they just have one real drone, right? So imagine if they really pushed into the consumer space, how much more they'd be able to grow the brand. I think that it's understandable that they're going after the commercial market. I think that they're going to make more money. I think that that's really what it's all about, is the money that they'll make. But I think that it also comes down to resources. Like, they're a small company, right? They definitely don't have a ton of people to be pumping out drone after drone. But if you look at their lineup, they offer the Skydio 2 Plus, which is available as a consumer drone, as a commercial drone also. Like, it does a lot of the things that the X2 does, but it's just like a watered down version of the X2 that is a good, cheap option to get in and to use as a commercial drone too, right? I mean, you could go and buy the Air 3 right now and use that for roof inspections and maybe even search and rescue. Like, if you needed to, you really could. So when I look at that, I just think that they could focus a lot of their energy on their commercial drones and then trickle that technology down to a consumer product and put something out easily, right? I mean, how hard would it be to develop this super advanced drone and then just say, hey, we're going to take half the technology and then make like a smaller version of it, right? I'm not an engineer and I don't know how a lot of that stuff works, but I just think that they could have continued to support the consumer side by developing almost less expensive commercial drones, and then saying, hey, they're also available for consumer use too, by just tweaking some of the software, but really, I think that I don't think that they're closing the door fully. I think that there's an opportunity potentially in the future for them to say, hey, we're going to make a comeback and we're going to make a brand new, Skydio drone or this or that or whatever, but I don't know when that would be.
It's still the best tracking drone out there. I did a couple of tests. I did one with the Air 3 and the Skydio 2, and I was in an area purposely. I was in an area under some trees on my e-bike. The Air 3 just kept losing me every time I'd go under a tree and take a corner. It didn't predict enough the other side. When I was coming out the other side, the Skydio 2. It was on me for the whole thing, right? I mean, there was no issues whatsoever. So DJI doesn't have that tracking, and I know, and it's Active Track 5.0, which I know is pretty advanced, but I think it's that GPS component that Skydio provides with the beacon. But DJI must have a certain amount of GPS component too with the controller, so it's weird. I just would have hoped that DJI would have been a little more advanced with that by now.
Yeah. I mean, I wish they'd introduce a beacon, because I have this video of myself. I was trying to track myself on that electric dirt bike with the Air 3 when I was out in Utah. And I'm like trying to hold the remote while also gripping onto the whatever it's called, the handlebar, and I'm going over a bunch of bumps, and it's a nightmare. Like, I kept dropping the controller. I kept, accidentally pushing buttons. So they definitely need to do something in that regard, because Active Track is fun, but like, if I were to do that, I would need to make a special mount for my controller to go onto the bike. It would just be annoying.
Yeah, DC Rainmaker said the same thing. He said that like the Air 3 it'll never match Scudio until they get a beacon type.
Well, I used original Dobo's love handles on my controllers riding the bike. But it's more than it's got to be. There's got to be some technology things that DJI is going to have to approve, because it's not like it wasn't even close.
They won't have to do it now because there is no more Skydio consumer drone.
I know.
Well, yeah, I suppose.
Yeah.
Look, I'm of the mindset of I would prefer DJI to remain a pilot first option, you know,
Totally agree.
like don't take away my functionality of being able to fly the drone to give me more autonomy, because that's one of the things that I hate about flying the Skydio is it's like you tell it what you want it to do, and it's like it's got to confirm like, yes, okay, I'm able to do that, and then it's like you want to fly close to an object, it's like, no, I'm not going to do that. It's just very floaty.
Hey, congrats to Bob Dempsey and the old farts. They got their 1,000 subs.
Oh, congratulations,
sweet.
Bob.
Congratulations, Bob.
Congrats, Bob.
So, yeah,
but
and,
also
you know, it's I mean, you know, it's sad for a lot of them that had the Skydio 2 at the beginning. We talked about this a little bit. We all wanted to support them because they were American drone company, and you know, they seem to be doing things right. And you know, you were Bill, you were one of the first people I saw with it when you did the, you know, your one wheel, your skateboard, you know, manning out there, the little or whatever, that amazing little video. And I got mine a couple days later than you did, and I was going all around the beach with it. And the beach was empty in December, and it was tracking me like crazy. And Marcus got his at the same time, and you know, it was like an amazing piece of technology when we first got it in.
But I'll tell you what you missed out on, Ron and Bill. I know you'll know this is how they improved it over time too.
Yes, but
when we were,
you noticed that the updates stopped coming a couple months ago. A couple months ago, they stopped the updates coming.
Right.
So the writing was on the wall.
But the tracking and the way the obstacle avoidance and stuff did improve. And in fact, I don't think anybody would have your famous cranberry bog one. I don't think that would happen today. No, I'm serious. I think they've improved their technology that I just don't think it would happen.
I totally
agree. They used the data from Billy's bog video to improve it.
They likely could have. They likely could.
I sent them the drone for forensic evidence. They pulled all the data off of the chips, whatever was
but
left.
even the small branches and stuff that used to trip it up and the wires and stuff, they don't anymore.
It really is good. And you know, that autonomy is going to continue to improve with the X2. And again, I mean, gosh, like I don't understand why they couldn't make they have an event on the 20th. I don't know what they're releasing. It's going to be a new drone with new obstacle avoidance. I mean, that's what the teasers they've been putting out is alluding to. But it's like, why not just take that drone that's going to be built for commercial use and just build a dumbed down version of it and sell it to consumers? You know what I mean?
How much more can it cost? Yeah, I guess maybe they can't make enough units overall, so they have to dedicate all units to the enterprise market.
I don't know. I don't know how many.
I just was going to say,
buying those.
Constrained by their engineering talent as well, right? I mean, we know that it's hard to hire engineers in the U.S. right now, and so they're putting their efforts where they're going to get the most return.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a shame to see them leave, but you know, I also was in a scenario where I had a DJI NFZ that wasn't an actual NFZ. It was a red zone. I was trying to take photos of a roof, so I had to grab a drone that had no NFZ. I mean, I probably could have unlocked it and whatever, but I just wanted to get it done, grab a drone that has no NFC and whatever. And it was between the Skydio 2 and the Autel Evo 2 Pro. I had to use the Autel Evo 2 Pro. Like the 1-inch sensor is better, higher megapixels. You know, the connection is better, the flight time is better. Like all these drones have leapfrogged the Skydio 2, but by leaps and bounds. And you know, I think that if they gave us a better, even if they came out with a new Skydio 3 that was the same design with some upgraded hardware and a new camera, people would buy it. There's not a lot of work that needs to be done there. Give us a new camera and just keep selling it.
Keep selling. The lag in the controller is a problem. I mean, it's not just that it doesn't have range. There's lag in the controls, etc. For those of us, like you said, if I had to make a preference or make a pick, it would definitely be the DJI drone over Skydio because I like to fly. But
I want to answer Andrew's question here. He said, "Will Skydio support their consumer drones?" Yes, they will continue to support the consumer drones as far as repairs and parts and stuff. You know, they didn't say how long, but you know, at least a year or better. But my advice would be, if you have a Skydio now, and you want to continue flying, order some extra batteries and propellers.
Yeah, so I'm just looking on their website too, and it's now just completely geared towards the commercial consumer. It's not for a regular consumer. They have so many things on here about their dock and this and that. Which, do you guys know how much that dock costs, like altogether? Like,
no, I bet a lot. I don't know.
I've heard quotes of like $67,000 for a dock
wow.
and a drone and everything.
Wow.
Yeah, and
Wow.
the thing with Skydio is that they are big on the subscription model, which is kind of a shame.
Right.
So you pay that price, but then you're going to have to continue to pay for their enterprise tools and stuff like that. When you go to drones, it still has Skydio 2 Plus, and it still says contact us. So I think you can probably still get a drone if you wanted to, but I don't know how much longer they're going to have them in stock for.
Interesting. Hey, real fast, I want Bob Dempsey mentioned something here about Barry Markowitz, who, of course, lives in Hawaii, and they had those terrible wildfires. I was speaking with Barry last week, and Barry's house was safe from the wildfires.
Nice.
Yeah,
Good to hear.
Barry's actually on Oahu, which is not Maui.
Not Maui, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's it was a lot of we saw that it wasn't much movement from Skydio in the consumer drone business, say, for the last 6 months or so, and it kind of didn't surprise a lot of us that this happened, even though again it's a sad day, but I hope they made the right choice for themselves. And like Billy said, I hope someday maybe they will be able to be successful enough with the enterprise market to get a foothold back in the the consumer business again. Like Billy
Lord
said,
knows there's space for them. They could come back at any time and pick right up where they left off, because there's no other drones out there that are competing with them. I mean, like it is honestly DJI versus DJI right now. Like I could not recommend any other drone to purchase whatsoever. I couldn't recommend the Skydio because they're not going to support it.
Yeah. Well, let's go down that road, Billy. Also, it looks like Autel is they released 2 real consumer drones almost 2 years ago now, or now 2 very consumer drones almost 2 years ago. The Light Plus and the Nano Plus. And those drones are almost 2 years now. It doesn't seem like there's anything going on with them. I don't think we're going to see a Nano 2 Plus or a Light 2 Plus. Do you think Autel is slowly backing out of the consumer drone market as well to concentrate on their enterprise?
I think so. You jump onto their website and it shows like if you go to I always love looking at websites, because like the little subtle things can tell you everything you need to know.
Mm-hmm.
Like you look at Product Center, and it goes enterprise product, consumer product, and then ecosystem. So enterprise is first, which is interesting. They have their enterprise drones, they have the Pro enterprise, they have the Max on here, and then the consumer, they've got Light, Nano, Pro V3, Pro V2, and then just the regular Pro. But I mean, when you go onto their website, you can still purchase these drones. In fact, this Autel Evo 2 Pro RTK version 2, originally $3,800, is on sale for $2,300. It's like $1,500 off.
Yeah, any place you go to online that sells drones, the Autel drones are heavily discounted almost all across the whole line.
Yeah, I mean,
another line for them too.
They did something great. Like they have the Nano and the Light. They built out a full rotation of drones to choose from, and who knows if they're ever going to see an update. I couldn't recommend anybody buy a Nano or a Light over a Mini 3 or an Air 3. Like it's just.
But if we're going to get stuck with one consumer drone company, we got stuck with the right one.
Yeah, luckily they like to compete with each other. Like with DJI, like they're it's really like it's tough when I'm trying to explain to somebody whether you should buy the Mini 3, the Air 3, or the Mavic 3 Pro, because it's like, well, the Mini 3 and the Air 3 have very similar cameras, right? Like it's like, and they have like very similar flight time, and they use very similar controllers, but there are the little nuances, like the Air 3 is faster and it has better obstacle avoidance, right? But you have those little incremental pushes, and it's just like they do a good job at making sure that they can stay neck and neck with each other, which is good.
Billy, I totally agree with you. It's almost like it's 3 different companies. It's almost like it's a Mavic company, an Air company, and a Mini company, and they're competing against each other to get ahead.
But here's a question: what is now pushing them to release the Mavic 4? What's pushing them to release a Mini 4? Why should they release a Mini 4 right now?
Just time. Well, with a Mini 4 not, but like the Mavic 4, it's just time. I think they'll just be like, all right, it's time for another.
I can answer the Mini 4 because maybe not so much for us in the US, but if you're in Canada or the UK, you want maybe more professional, the omnidirectional obstacle avoidance, maybe that stacked sensor, etc. Because you can do so much more with a mini drone. You can fly more places. with a lot less hassle. So I would think that a
Good
professional sub 250 drone would
Good
work
point.
in those markets.
Yeah, but I agree with you. But like the Mini 3 Pro is already so good that it's just like they might say, there's nothing better right now than the Mini 3 Pro, and it's still going to continue to sell. So I don't know. It's just it's such a weird spot right now. And I made that video like, is the consumer drone market dying back after CES? And now to look back on it, it's like shit.
Yeah,
It's dying more than yeah.
That was
Well, I mean, like if the pictures are right, it's here, it's built, and when's it coming?
Yeah, I would assume they already have.
On the flip side of that, Billy, if you had to fly your Mavic 3 Pro for the next 2 or 3 years or whatever, it's not like you would feel like you're flying some old car or whatever. I mean, you would be perfectly fine.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean I wouldn't want the improvements.
Exactly.
That doesn't mean I don't want Autel to come out with an Evo 3 and be like, yo, we have a full frame camera on here. And then DJI's like, well, we got to do the same, because then it's like, then it's just like the consumer is the one that wins. But again, it is nice. I mean, that they compete with each other and that they regularly produce products and stuff like that. And, I think that with DJI really conquering the whole drone space, I think that they'll still be there. I think that that's going to be their bread and butter, continuing to make, drones, consumer, enterprise, stuff like that. But I also think that they're probably just going to turn into like a general electronics company, like Anker. Like look at Anker, right? Like I could see them like developing products that are, higher end electronic items. Like I don't think they'd go down the route of like making TVs and like, like blenders or anything like that, but like niche products that people can use. And I mean, look at it. They have the mic. They have the Ronin 4D. They have, all these other little products. The Pocket, the Action,
the phone gimbals, and
yeah. So the drone space, obviously it's a drone show. I like to fly drones. Is all that I do, and whatever. But I think that there's still a big spot for them to, and branch out into other niches. Other niches potentially.
Be more well-rounded. If they would get regulated in the U.S. where they could sell less drones, they can make money from
they do have an automotive division,
keep them afloat. Yeah.
So they make like sensors for cars and stuff like that, but that's boring. I don't want to review a car sensor.
Hey, before we you have to run here. You've got a couple of videos out on it, of course, but your opinions on the Air 3 so far. I mean, we had the whole controversy where it didn't have the 1-inch sensor, didn't have the 5K of the Air 2S. A lot of people resisted it for that reason, and it was some other stuff too. That was the big thing, the camera things. But what are your opinions overall and the camera, itself?
Camera's fine in my opinion. Sensor size is always going to play a factor, but at the end of the day, it comes down to the images that it shoots, right? Like the photos and videos. And I am more than happy with what I'm getting from that drone, to the point where you could put it next to like a Mavic 3, and I'm like, I couldn't tell you which drone captured which photo, just because it's improved that much. Even with the Mini 3 Pro, when I'm taking photos and videos with that, I feel like the dynamic range is not as good as some of these other drones. And even though we're using the same camera more or less, I think the dynamic range is way better in the Air 3. So, when it comes down to that, like I'm super happy with the photos I'm capturing with it. I'm super happy with the video. And really, sensor size does play a role, but as long as my photos and videos are looking good, I'm not going to complain about it. Like for some reason, the Air 2S, I think it took great photographs, but the video always felt like really cool to me. Like it was like leaning towards like being very blue almost. And sometimes I just couldn't get the same punch that I'd be able to get with. And
all depending on the light. In the proper light, the Air 2S video looked good, but in other lighting conditions, it didn't look as good. It was always perplexing to me to get it right.
Yeah, again, it was just like, it was weird. But now like the Air 3 and the Mavic 3 are just going toe to toe in my book. It's like I could leave the house, and if I had the Air 3, I don't think there'd ever be a situation where I'm like, oh, I wish I had my Mavic 3 Pro, and vice versa. They're just so interchangeable at this point.
How do you like the way it flies, the Air 3?
It's a bat out of hell, that thing. It's like I hold on. I actually I got my backpack here.
Here's that. Look, I have my high quality propeller strap on it. The 2-cent rubber band.
I need to take that idea. That's pretty good.
I'm the only one without one, man.
So the Air 3, I was in Utah.
Well, but before you get going, Billy, what camera bag you got there? Show us your camera bag.
I'm using the Moment camera bag right now. Actually, it's open, so I can't bring it up, but it's
Okay,
pretty good. I
Moment.
like it a lot. My Peak Design bag has like the 2 flaps on the outside, so you can unlock it from the top, grab from the top, and then you can zip from the side, and you can grab stuff from there. And I kept leaving the side zipper unzipped, and I'd go and throw the backpack on my shoulder, and everything would fly out, like cameras, lenses, drones, everything spread across the asphalt. And that's my fault, but I can't have that potentially happening again. So I had to switch.
I have a Peak Design bag, which is a copy of that bag, and it's the same thing.
So my Air 3, I was flying it a little bit gingerly, flying back to myself in sport mode, and totally broke the sensor down there.
Oh, hey, yeah.
It still works fine, so I'm just going to continue to fly it and not really worry about it. But I was coming down so fast down to the ground, and I just went boom and smacked it right into the ground, and it popped right up. And then I landed, and I was like, "Oh, that didn't sound good." And then I power cycled it and took off, and it flew fine. So,
hey, tell the folks about the incredible ascent and descent speed of the.
It is absolutely insane. 22 miles an hour down, 18 miles an hour up, and I can't get enough of it. That's one thing that the Mavic 3 Pro lacks is the speed up and down. And the Mini 3 too. Like, when I'm flying that thing back to me, I'm like sitting there looking at my watch, like, all right, come on. So being able to descend at 22 miles an hour is just absolutely bonkers. I can try to show like on video it descending as much as I want, but you have to just feel it for yourself. Like, you've got to go up to 400 feet, fly straight forwards, and then just put it all the way down, and it will fall down to the ground so fast, which is great.
Drops like a rock.
Yes, it drops like a rock, and be careful because you might slam into the ground.
Too fast on that time you're discussing.
Yeah, it definitely can sometimes be too fast. You've definitely got to be careful because, obvious reasons.
Yeah. Another thing too about this drone has the first DJI drone that had the 04 transmission signal. Tell us a little bit about your experience with 04 versus 03 at this point.
03 is so good that it's hard to determine a difference. I mean, like, when you get into really niche opportunities where like you might be in a really tough urban environment, or like you might be conducting a mission where let's say you're flying around the opposite side of a building with a spotter, of course, you're flying around the opposite side of a building, the penetration is a little bit better. So, it's tough for me to like sit there and like fly my Mavic 3 Pro and then fly my Air 3 right afterwards and notice a huge difference. I think that there is a difference. I think it's better. Don't get me wrong. Especially the reliability, because you've got way more antennas now with 4 in the controller and 6 in the drone. But like, I think that the upgrades from OcuSync 1 to 2 and then 2 to 3 were so great that it makes 3 to 4 just seem like, okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I found 4 to be, like you said, not amazingly better, but better. Like I struggled to make it lose any signal. I'd have to hide it behind a building to have it drop any signal whatsoever. I kind of fly a course here where I can make the drone come close to losing signal, but I can't do it with the the Air 3 with the 04.
Yeah, and so good. And I like the upgrades made to the RC too. I think that's a big win, because the RC was great. It's almost like Smart Controller to RC Pro. Like, the Smart Controller is like, this is awesome, but it has a lot of downfalls. And like the RC was like, this is awesome, but it has a lot of downfalls. And now it's great. So the RC2 is a good little upgrade.
So at this point, you can highly recommend the Air 3 to almost anybody.
Yeah, if I would say buy the Air 3 over the Mini 3, especially if you're going to be flying a lot, because you'll just have more room to grow into it, and I don't know. I would almost recommend buying the Air 3 over the Mavic 3 Pro, just for the sole fact that you could take the extra money you'd spend and buy more batteries and buy more accessories, and you're set.
So I can distill that down even a little further. If you think you need an adjustable aperture, buy the Mavic 3.
Right. That's determining it.
If you're a hobbyist, really the Air 3 is going to do everything that you want to do, and you can still be very creative with it.
Yeah, and I'm not.
Of course, you can manage the lack of an aperture with the correct ND filter.
Yeah, I've never, like, for me, like, it's either ND32, no ND. Those are my two options. Like, I have the whole ND 8, 16, 32, 64, whatever. Because of the 1.7 aperture, though, you let in some more light there. I slapped 32 on there during the daytime, works great. And if it's nighttime, take it off. Like that's just how I work. And like, okay, if I'm capturing video at 4K at 30 frames per second and I've got to bump my shutter speed up to 1/200th instead of 1/60th, it's not the end of the world. Like, it's not like my footage is going to be completely unusable. And then also if I'm in a darker area and I have the ND32 on and I need to bump my ISO up to 200, it won't be the end of the world. So, you know, I think that those things are more prevalent when you're like taking video of a subject on the ground with a mirrorless camera. You can start to see some changes in shutter speed as you go up and down, but on a drone, you won't notice if you have to cheat a little bit.
Right. Hey, we got a question from Waypoint New England in the chat here. He says, are they switching everything over to OcuSync 4?
Yeah, I think that from now on, any drone that comes out will have OcuSync 4. Unless they come out with like a mini, like a budget version of a drone, and then they'll offer like OcuSync 3 in it just to save some money.
Yeah. Thank you, Billy. Hey, do we have any questions? I mean, I see DeMarco and Mike haven't said much tonight. Do you guys have any questions for Billy?
Mike? I'm anxious to do my maiden flight on the Air 3. I've been following
I can't wait.
I can't. No, I haven't even update the phone.
I can't wait until you feel.
I'm gonna limp
Mike,
out
I
there
can't
with,
wait.
Like, come on.
Mike, I can't wait until you fly it and you feel the power going up and down. You're not going to want to fly anything else.
That's what I want to try. First thing, vertical takeoff.
And believe me, Billy, that Mike's a wild flyer. He did some wild flying in Florida at Du Bois Park or whatever. He was flying through the palm trees like a boss.
No, don't do that, because we are going to Beaver Lake. So when we lose it, it's going in the drink.
Beaver Lake.
Beaver Lake, yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Keep this a family show, DeMarco.
Oh yeah.
Marcus.
You're thinking the
I
wrong
didn't say anything.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
hey, so I got a question, Bill, about internal memory. That you so you deal with the SSD on the Cine version. I just kept expecting DJI to give us internal memory. I mean, a bigger amount of internal memory on almost every drone to make kind of our micro SD cards obsolete. Especially as good as wireless is getting now, so you can transfer those big files without any big issue, you know. So
yeah, I am dealing with the same thing, and it's slow too. Like, so sometimes I forget to put the SD card in. I'm like, all right, I'll just take a couple photos on the internal memory land and just take it off the drone later. And when I plug it in, it takes way longer to get 8 gigs off of the internal memory than it does to take 8 gigs off of like the SD card, depending on the speed of your SD card and whatever. But yeah, I wish they'd just put 32 in. Like what is the big deal about what's 8 gigs, right? Like why are they so stuck on 8 gigs of internal storage? I don't get it. The SSD is really nice. It's not a reason to go out and spend way more money on the Cine. Like personally, I think the Cine is a waste of money in a lot of different regards. But yeah, I do wish they'd put more internal memory, because 8 gigs is like, it's suffocating.
Yeah, they must have cornered the market in 8 gig memory sticks or whatever.
like 5 years ago, they bought a lot of them, and they're like,
everyone that was
in our drones for the next 10 years.
One more kind of question. It's kind of a controversial subject. A lot of people have varying opinions of it. September 16th, remote ID will be here. Are you have any plans, or what are your thoughts as that date gets closer here?
Yeah, I don't have any plans until the week of. So once the week of hits, what's actually funny is that week, September 16th, I'll be in Canada. So I will be abiding by the Canadian laws until I come back, which I got my my basic Canadian drone license. So
oh wow, great.
Good. I'm glad you brought that up. So Bill, you got your Canadian basic license, but don't you have to get what they call a special flight operations certificate still to fly? Is that hard to do?
So no, it's just basically a form that you have to fill out, and then you just send it to an email. So that's what I did the last time. And it takes a little bit to process, but the big issue is, as an American citizen, I can't register a drone with the Canadian government. So that's why I have to file that. Like, that's the reason you have to file the special flight, whatever it's called, the special flight authorization. So it's just one hurdle you have to jump through, but it's worth it to be able to fly, something over 249 grams.
So I noticed on that form though that it's asking for a specific location where you're flying. Did you just like give them like when you're going up to Labrador? Did you say from Labrador or
So Labrador, I didn't have it. I just had the I didn't have any. So I was flying the Mini 3 Pro for that entire project. So I did an entire commercial video project with the Mini 3 Pro. And
Wow.
people will like give you a bunch of crap for that, but whatever you got to use, you got to use it. So it worked out really well. But for the last trip I went on in Nova Scotia, I just told them I was flying all over Nova Scotia. I tried to list out like some of the spots that I was going to, and I put like towns and stuff that I was going to, and that was good enough for them.
And they still approved it.
Yeah, let me tell you, the Inspire 3, how's the shutter Inspire 3? I don't know what he's talking about that, but let me just say that camera is nuts. Like it truly makes me never want to fly another drone ever again. The dynamic range and the photo, it's a video cinema drone first, but I've captured a lot of photos with it, and just the depth that you have when you're editing those 50 megapixel photos is unreal. It's crazy.
You're noticeably better than what you're getting from the more consumer drones.
Oh my God. It is absolutely night and day from what you get, and especially on the video side too. But then again, a 1 terabyte SSD holds 32 minutes of video. So there's that.
Yeah. And what's the maximum resolution on the Inspire 3?
8.1K
or 8K or something like that.
It's like an 8.1K format, which is a little bit wider than the true 8K. And then if you're shooting in a specific file format, you can shoot 8K at up to like 75 frames per second, I think. But I usually just will go to 60.
Right. Amazing. Yeah, of course. The files it creates are
it makes me want to throw up.
Makes you
Dropbox
want to
hates me.
It makes you want to get a 10 terabyte MacBook or something.
Yeah, so what I've been doing? My backup option, and I've just been kind of switching over to this, is I've been buying these 20 terabyte Seagate Iron Wolf drives, and they're meant to go inside of a computer, but I just have a hard drive reader, and I just plug them right in outside like they're a regular external hard drive, and they never leave my house, right? They're just archive drives, so it's not like I'm going to damage this. It just like sits on my desk or sits on a shelf, and you can buy 20 terabytes for like $340 or whatever they cost, and they're super high-end drives. Like they're built for constant use, NAS use. So
and you want to get that off them, it comes off fast.
Yeah, it's easy to access, comes off super fast. So my workflow now is to whenever I'm archiving files, I'll upload it to Dropbox, and I'll also put it onto these hard drives. So I've got it in 2 places. And also if I'm like anywhere in the world, I can access my files through Dropbox pretty much no matter what.
Right. Cool.
This is the best archive solution I've found.
A better
really
backup system than I have. That's for sure.
I heard that.
So, well, Billy, is there anything that you wanted to bring up or discuss that we haven't worked our way through tonight?
No, man, we hit a lot of stuff.
We didn't talk about your tire situation in Tesla, but besides that, anything else you want to bring up or talk about?
No, I just keep hitting freaking nails with my tire, and I keep having to go and get it patched.
There's
around too many construction type sites.
It's not even that. I was driving to New York City and got a massive. The nail that went into my tire was absurdly large. Like I swear it was like the hole was an inch long. Like it was crazy.
Bill,
can we blame that on Eddie?
Yeah, I blame it on
not
Eddie.
cleaning the streets up in New York.
John Cuppi says Tire Nation.
Bill, there's no spare on my Corvette either, but it has run flats.
See, that's nice. That's nice. Well, you know what pisses me off is AAA doesn't tow you on toll roads. So New Jersey Turnpike, Ohio Turnpike, and Pennsylvania Turnpike, they will not come and tow you. So I'm going to cancel my AAA because I think that's absurd and ridiculous. And I got a $300 towing bill, and I'm going to go to AAA and get them to try to reimburse me because I think it's ridiculous that I'm spending money on AAA and I can't get a tow on some of the most major roads in the states that I live in.
Oh, that's crazy. Yeah,
crazy. Hey, David J. Pierce is saying the Air 3, same speed up and down as the Inspire or better?
It's pretty close. Let me see. So the specs of the Inspire 3, it says that the max ascent speed is 8 meters per second. So 8 meters per second in miles per hour. What is 8 meters per second in miles per hour?
That's got to be about 18 miles an hour.
17. So yeah, it's right on par with the Inspire 3. And then it's 10 meters per second downward. So it's basically the same as the Inspire 3, which is insane.
Yeah.
It is. Yeah.
That is crazy.
Well, I was even more impressive for a big bird like the Inspire.
You know, I just wish we had a higher top speed. I would like flying down the canyon by the edge of the canyon. If I could, I'd fly that Air 3 at 60 miles an hour, you know.
I don't get why they won't increase the top speed. If they increase the top speed, I would buy any drone. Like if they came out with a Mavic 4 and it had like a 55 mile an hour top speed, like give it to me all day long.
Hell yeah. So could it have to do with the amount of pitch that it has to do? Possibly.
I think so. But look at the design of the Mini 3. Give us the design of the Mini 3 where you have a little bit of room above so that you have that upwards gimbal pitch, and let me just tilt that drone like straight forwards. You know what I mean?
I agree.
Come on.
Well, I think that the first time I flew the Air 3 at the beach, I got up to like 48.6 miles per hour on the very first flight.
Don't get me wrong, it moves, but I want it to move faster.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. There's no reason we can't hit like 60 miles per hour in these drones.
Like I don't care. Look, if there's like a threshold where it voids my warranty, so be it. I don't know what the max shutter speed is on the Inspire 3, but I don't know why you'd want to be dragging it for 30 seconds. Your drone would move like crazy in that time.
Thank you for answering that.
Yeah,
that'd be insane.
Yeah, not for a drone. Yeah.
Okay. Well, you have anything new come up in your channel in the next couple weeks or whatever?
I'm pumping out a ton of content. I've got a lot of different videos in the works. Got a couple of things on Drone Deploy. Drone Deploy actually. Drone Deploy did an update for their Mavic 3 Enterprise. So now you can do like the panoramas and the video shooting and the photo shooting and all that stuff. And it's actually pretty cool because you can queue up all the missions. So like if you wanted to do photos, videos, a panorama, and a map of a job site, you could get there the first time, plan out all of your missions, and then every time that you would go back there, you can queue up every single mission in a row and literally put the drone on the ground, hit go, and it'll rip through all the missions all by itself. It'll go take all the photos by itself. It'll take the video by itself, take the panoramas, take the map, and in between, if it needs to change batteries, it'll come back, land, you put a new battery in, and it picks up right where it left off. So
that is huge.
I mean, it's pretty cool to see how far they've come. I think the last Drone Deploy videos I did were like back in 2018, 5 years ago. Yeah. So it'll be cool. It'll be cool to finally make some videos kind of just showcasing like, hey, they've changed a lot in 5 years.
Hey, I know you'll have this in the video, but can you run Drone Deploy on your RC Pro smart controller?
On the Mavic 3 Enterprise, yes, but the SDK is not available for Mavic 3, Mavic 3 Pro. Okay. So it does run right on the RC Pro, and it's great. I mean, you just pull your drone out, open the app, runs right through. You got the nice bright screen, and just run. You don't have to worry about hooking up your phone or anything like that, which is good.
Excellent. Good. And you're gonna produce some DJI Action 4 content coming up.
Yeah, I've got videos in the works. It's taken me a while, but you know, the drones are my main thing. So that's really the thing that I try to be prompt on is whenever there's new drones coming out, try to get my usual videos out because that's what I have the most fun doing.
Right. And those action camera channels or whatever, those guys are it's hard to keep up with those guys. They do such a great job.
Yep, I know. Yeah, and I try to give my perspective because I'm not a huge action camera user either. Like really, like I'll buy the new GoPro like every other year when it comes out. DJI's only had 4 action cameras over the span of like 5 years, so I give those a try whenever they come out too. But there's just not a ton of like innovation happening in that space in my eyes. So until somebody drops something crazy like a 4/3 sensor inside of it, I usually just will make my videos here and there.
Gotcha. Hey, one quick question here. I saw Scott Adu was in there earlier, but he asked every show whether we know anything about the Pocket 3. I mean, I don't ask you to know anything. Do you think we'll ever see a Pocket 3, or is that kind of a dead product from DJI?
No, I do hope so because I think it has like a space with their lineup. Let's see, Pocket 2 release date. When was it released? Because I think that at this point it's their oldest product.
It'll be 3 years ago, like November 1st.
Yeah, so I'm seeing videos here for from like June of or October of 2022. This is Osmo Pocket 2 confirmed. So this seems like, yeah, because I remember doing some low light tests and I was freezing my ass off. So it was around the winter time in 2020. So yeah, we're coming up on 4 years.
It'll be 3-year anniversary come around November 1st.
But hey, look at that camera. It had a 16 megapixel sensor with a 64 megapixel quad bare sensor, which I think they should have thrown that in the Air 3, to be honest. I don't know why they didn't do that, just to give a little more separation between Air 3 and Mini 3, you know?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
I would love them to go bigger on a Pocket 3 because, you know, I just find the Pocket 2 to be like a little bit too small and dinky. I mean, make that thing a little bit bigger and give us a better camera, and I think I might actually use it more.
True. I mean, of course, I think a lot of products like that, though, if you put one sensors on and make it too much bigger, then if you're like if you're doubling the price or whatever, then you kind of lose a lot of the people that kind of,
It's true.
used to buying that product.
Yeah, it's true. And I think that for something like that, like I so love having interchangeable lenses. I don't know how they'd be able to do something like that. I mean, I know they have the little snap-on wide angle filter that you can put on the Pocket 2. Yeah. But, you know, that's just what I can't get away from the mirrorless cameras from, is being able to sit there and be like, hey, I need a 50 millimeter now. Let me zoom in, you know?
Yeah.
And that's why I like what they're doing with the drones, because, you know, the Inspire 3 is great with the interchangeable lenses, but you got to land, turn off the drone, swap the lenses. Yeah. With the, you know, Mavic 3 and the Air 3, it's just a tap of a button to switch over to the 70 millimeters.
Well, even with real cameras, I mean, yeah, you got the camera right there. You can change lens, but I mean, sometimes the shot could be gone by the time you switch the lens you really want on there.
It's true, and it's even more exaggerated with a drone because you've got to land, turn it off, swap, turn the drone back on, let it boot up, take off. I mean, it's a 5-minute process to put a new lens on.
Yeah. So you're right. Maybe the solution they have now in the consumer drones may work better for a lot of folks. Yeah, very true.
Yeah.
So.
Yep. Agreed.
All right. I get Marcus. Any other questions before we wrap up for today? We've gone almost an hour and a half here.
We've got about an hour and a half, Ron. So.
And Marcus has to make a trip to the airport tonight to pick Sarah up from Portland.
Oof.
In her new car that I bought her while she was gone.
And he has to travel.
Does she know?
No.
And he has to travel through Hurricane Hillary.
Hope she's not watching the show.
Wait, she's on an airplane right now, DeMarco. They may have internet.
DroneNation's not on airplanes.
What'd you get her?
So listen, Bill, I'm serious. I looked long and hard at a Tesla, but the issue for me is her sitting by the side of the road in Baker City, Oregon, charging for 45 minutes before she can get to Pendleton. And that's the only thing. It would be perfect other than that. But anyway, I ended up getting her a Subaru Outback.
Nice. Cool.
Yeah. Perfect for all-wheel drive.
And if you've ever been to Oregon, Subarus are a very popular car in Oregon.
They are always huge. Yeah, anywhere in the Northwest. And Northwest and Northeast is Subaru's big market, right?
Yeah. Hey, not to turn to Tesla Nation here, but I was reading where Toyota, they have it's in the pipeline. It's not coming this year. When they have an electric car that's going to get over 900 miles on a charge.
Believe it when you see it. It would be cool, but it's like
well, if anybody has the money and engineering to do it, it's Toyota, right?
They actually do a lot of hybrids. So I mean, we will see.
Yeah, I mean, look, what's the little Toyota that's been around forever? A hybrid.
Prius
has been around longer.
Those new Priuses look so badass.
I know.
Yeah,
but you can't get. I'd have got her one of those if I could have got one. They make an all-wheel drive version.
They're pretty sweet.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie.
And isn't that Prius the one you're talking about? Isn't it the hybrid where it has the gas engine and the electric combined in one?
They have a couple different versions and variations.
Right.
Plug-in. They have a plug-in, a Prime, I think they call it.
The Prime is the one that you really want. Yeah. The plug-in is the one that you would want because you spend most of your time on electric, and then you'd have the ICE when you needed it. But yeah. Anyway, so Automotive Nation right now.
Yeah, is about to end here. So hey, I want to thank everybody in the chat for dropping in tonight, and a lot of good questions for Billy in the panel tonight. And I really want to thank, we don't often get a in-studio guest. So Mike Wright being one of our first in studio guest. Actually,
That's
somebody
surprising
actually
on there.
sitting, in the guest in the
not.
back there. So
Yeah.
that's a Billy. You ever been on a stream before where there's been a guest that hasn't been really part of the stream?
Who's this guy
This-
knocking on my door? He's trying to
There's a
hug me.
first time for everything.
Not
Hey,
DeMarco
John.
kids. Yeah. So it's been an amazing show tonight, and I want to thank Billy for joining us. I know it's been a busy summer for him. It's
Thanks, Billy.
but I'm glad to have him back in here. It was a lot of fun talking about all the new. It's been an amazing year for DJI, Billy. It really has.
It really has been.
Air 3, the Mavic 3 Pro, the Inspire 3, and even it's a couple other. Well, the Action 4. I mean, there's been a lot of amazing products this year.
And you know that holiday season is right around the corner. I'm sure that they've got a nice suite of
surprise for
shit
us.
Mini
planned.
4.
Oh no.
Really,
How
I
about
mean,
Mini? How about Mini 4 and Pocket 3 for the under the tree?
I think that I think that this is their time to just put the pedal to the metal and come out with their smaller items. You know.
Right. The affordable items for the holiday for under the tree.
Yep.
I think
Johnny
the
drone
age
buyer.
of the affordable mini drone, though, because I think people are looking for more professional features in a mini drone. So it may not be the price leader. Just
It's
thought.
nice. It's nice to have the Mini 3 though as an option, right? For the people that want to save a little
Exactly.
bit more money. But
Right.
I just can't. Seeing how much more you get for the price in the Mini 3 Pro, I just could not recommend anybody buy the Mini 3 because you get so much more for the little extra. You get the obstacle avoidance. You get all the extra features because of the obstacle avoidance, like active track and hyperlapse and stuff like that.
right.
You get the the high resolution photos. Like you get so much more for such a little.
For just a
amount
little
extra.
bit more money. Yeah.
Yeah, like just buy the Mini 3 Pro.
Totally agree.
Exactly. But I think they have that price point around with the Mini 3 to compete with some of the bargain drones. You have to have something in that price point or whatever.
Yep, it's true.
Okay, well, we're going to wrap up for the evening. We'll go around the room. Let everybody say their goodbyes. We'll start with Billy.
Yeah. Hey, thank you guys so much for having me on. I think it's been a couple months since I've been on. So good to catch up with everybody. Good to see you. Mike, good surprise seeing you here. And there was a lot to catch up on. So it's cool that we had a nice hour and a half packed of just nothing but cool stuff to talk about.
Agreed.
DeMarco and Mike.
Billy has the best poker face. I tell you. I'll say it again. I'm gonna ask him next year. I'm like, Billy, is the Mavic 4 coming on? I'm gonna grill him.
And I want to thank DeMarco for letting me crash your party, Ron.
You're the best party crasher I know, Mike. Marcus?
Fortunately, Hurricane Hillary was very sweet and very nice when she hit Idaho. We were supposed to have like 2 inches of rain an hour or something. It's been nothing. It's been a little sprinkle or something. We were supposed to have 50-mile-an-hour winds, barely any wind. So it turned out to be not a big deal for us here. So that's a good thing. And so maybe tomorrow it'll be calm enough that I can actually go out and fly a drone.
Thank you, Marcus.
Thank you, Billy, for coming on too.
Yeah, great talking to everybody.
Yeah. And I want to thank Billy for coming on with us tonight. And I also want to promo, I said already, but in case you weren't here before, Greg from Pilot Institute will be on next Monday. All your remote ID questions, and he'll cover them. And he's also been testing a lot of remote ID modules out. So any module questions, save them for next Monday. Should be a good show. So we will see you all then. Everybody have a safe week. Get out and fly a drone, especially if you got yourself an Air 3. Get out there and fly that all the time. So good night.
Good night.
Good night, everybody.
See y'all.